Can I negotiate my salary if I'm a fresh graduate? Yes. But how, Sonal? I don't have any work experience. I'm not a tried and tested product. I still say yes. This is the most common question I've been receiving lately. And in this video, I'm going to share with you why it's important to negotiate, why it's uncomfortable, three do's and three don'ts. Let's get started. Why should you negotiate? I'll give you a number, $500,000. That is the amount of money you lose out by not negotiating throughout your entire career. What does that mean? When you're starting your career and you negotiate, you will get certain increases every single year, and there is a compounded effect versus someone who doesn't. And the growth is very different, exponentially different. That's life-changing money. And I understand this data is from the United States. And if you're not from the US or not living there, you're like, why is this relevant? It is still relevant. It's a very good indication. So you've got to ask, because the worst case is they'll say no. And now let's talk about why it's uncomfortable. Of course it's uncomfortable. There's three reasons. We have a fear. The first fear is, what if they say no? Guess what? That's status quo anyway. The second fear we have is, what if they think I'm money-minded or greedy? Well, it turns out 81% of all recruiters at some point or the other during the salary negotiation process expect you to negotiate. It's all right. And the third fear we have is, what if they take the offer away? What if they rescind it? Now, I have to tell you that is very rare. It can happen, but the chances are like super minuscule, and usually it's related to the culture of the company where speaking up is not allowed, or you didn't ask nicely. You didn't ask the way I'm going to teach you. Now let's get into the do's and don'ts, specifically the don'ts. Number one, do not skip the homework. I'm going to tell you a little story. When I started my career back in the year 2000, I heard a friend of mine got a certain amount of money, and I was like, when the time came, they said, what would you like? And I said, I want that. They gave it to me. Now I will never know till date what their budget was. So don't do what I did. Also, I think access to info was very different back then. Now you have Glassdoor, Payscale, Friends, Headhunters, so much stuff on the internet. See what a person would be earning in this position, in this geography, in this industry, and make sure you know what is your minimum acceptable number from that. The second don't is related to a mistake I made. Again, way back when, is do not sign when an offer looks fantastic. You're like, but this is more than I expected, Sonal. I'm just going to sign. No. There's a lot of things you can negotiate that you can think about later with a calm head, talk to family or friends, perks, etc. Once you sign, it's a little bit more definite. So don't be in a hurry. The third don't is don't be a jerk. Simple. Don't be entitled. Don't think you deserve it just because you asked. Bad idea. That has happened when I see the person's real character come out during a negotiation process. And they're like, this is my last offer, take it or leave it. Well, guess what? The company will say, ciao, we'll find someone else. Now the three do's. Number one, be as creative as you possibly can. If you see things are not going your way, that's fine. Look at other ways and other things that you can ask for. Because remember, when we are focused only on money, we forget a little thing called income tax. Whereas there's certain benefits in kind that are taxed differently or not at all. So, getting that extra day a week or getting, a specific allowance to learn a language or to pursue an MBA, etc., has a different value, and you can monetize it over the long term. I know you're starting your career and you think you're going to be young forever. Trust me, you're not. What if you say, okay, I understand that you don't have the budget. Let's say I perform better than you expected within 3 months or 6 months. Can the salary be increased? So think creatively and think beyond monetary components as well. The second do is showcasing your value, and that actually should be sprinkled throughout the interview process. So you know what their pain points are, or you better know them if you're there in the interview process, and see how you can help. So if you've done project work, you've done internships, which directly will help them, then say so. Help them to connect the dots, hold their hand till they can see things your way. Because if you learned, for example, leadership skills in a project, then talk about if you did, I don't know, let's say you didn't have an internship, but you did volunteer work because of COVID, and you raised money, you can talk about all of that. When you show your value, somebody will be more willing to pay more for it. And don't forget, you bring in a fresh set of eyes to their problems. When people are employed over a period of time, they don't see things a certain way that you do, and you've got to highlight that. The third thing is, do detach yourself from the outcome. What does that mean? Go in with the view of learning as much as possible, making relationships, staying in touch with these people, whether it works out or not, don't worry. Because when you do that, there's too much focus on will they, won't they, and you take the joy away from all of it. Right? The last thing I'm going to share are two of my favorite quotes. The first one is Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. I cannot tell you how many comments I see from people saying, this is crap advice. This is never going to work. Well, it isn't going to work because you won't give it a chance, right? And the same, time, I see hundreds of comments of how people have gone and negotiated anything from 10% to 300%. Wow, it's possible if you think it's possible. And the second thing I'm going to say is, if you don't ask, the answer is always no.